Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ali, for the introduction. I appreciate your introduction. It is great to be speaking with you all today. Thank you for being here this morning. It is always interesting to see how people lose opportunities because they do not effectively manage their time. I create this webinar not with the intention of giving you the guidance step by step on how to manage your time more effectively as a recipe for success. On the contrary, I designed this webinar with the purpose of increasing your awareness about the importance of time in your life, allowing you to understand how you currently relate to time, understand your challenges, be more conscious, and help you to multiply your time instead of managing. It is my intention with this webinar to help you to learn ways to be more in control. So I hope you find it useful. So without further delay, let's start with the presentation. In modern times, it seems that there is never enough time during the day, right? According to what we have been told, time management can be defined as the process that refers to how you organize and plan the time you spend on specific activities and how you complete your most important task during the day. And let me tell you, current times are very hectic. If you look closely, you will notice how many things have changed with respect to how time and productivity are handled now with respect to the past. Things have changed. The pressure to produce results has increased. We're working more than we worked before. We have more advanced technology and tools. The tools we use to achieve results have also increased and are different. For example, we can spend more than 3 hours solving our daily activities of emails, meetings, conference calls before even getting to our pending work duties during the day. We have excess of innovation, as you know, increased frustration and guilt over failed projects and deadlines. Also, we always are in this cycle of self-blame for failing others who love and appreciate us. And we live in a culture based on speed, stress, and anxiety. But if we all have the same 24 hours, why is that some people achieve much more than others with their time? Well, this is related to how effectively we manage our time, and everybody manages time differently because everybody relates to time differently. Which brings the question, how do you relate to time right now? That's a good question, right? So let's start with an exercise together. I'm going to show you a few pictures. So look at these pictures and see if you can relate to any of these pictures when you think about time. What do you feel when you see these pictures? Do you identify yourself with any of this? So let's start with this exercise. This is the first picture. When you think about time, do you feel joyful? Do you think time is by your side? Do you feel that you manage the time well? I want you to see these pictures and try to relate to them and try to find connections. And then if you want a DM, you can share with me or in the chat if you know if you experience something. So you feel joyful? Or do you feel in a continuous struggle against time? It's like a fight all the time against time. Or when you think about time, you're always angry, irritated, because you never have time for anything. Or do you feel overwhelmed with the amount of things that you have to do during the day? There's not enough time. Or you just don't want to know what time it is because you're always late for everything. Time produces you anxiety. You don't want to know. Or maybe you just feel tired because you need more time to relax and do the things that you like. This is how you end your day. Tired, overwhelmed. You need to rest. Or maybe you just have too much free time, or you feel you're wasting too much of your time during the day in social media and video games, whatever you like to do, but you're spending a lot of time, in a vainly way. So look at these pictures and try to relate to them and see if they produce a feeling in you, a sensation in you, and try to understand how you relate to time. Okay, let's proceed. In current times, we constantly hear some or most of the following expressions. I have a lot to do, but there is not enough time. I need more hours in the day. I feel overwhelmed. The world asks too much of me. I have no control. I cannot say no. Can you relate to this? Probably you find yourself saying them as well. But what do you do about it? Does your situation change in any way when you say them? So understanding your relationship with time means determining if you relate to time as a victim or as a protagonist. As a victim, acting like you cannot do anything about what is happening, as a hostage to external circumstances. A victim is someone who hopes to have more time and does not manage time wisely. Is the one who needs to add more minutes to life. It is a victim mentality. A protagonist, on the other hand, is a person who takes charge of his/her inner reality to obtain desired results on the outside, who efficiently manage events and consequently time. Mentality of commitment and responsibility, I will say. A protagonist sees the full movie and takes full responsibility. So the first thing that we need to understand is, in order for us to manage time effectively, is that we need to go from being a victim to become a protagonist, being responsible, because responsibility is the key here. You have to abandon the endless cycle of not enough time or the famous "I'm busy" cycle, because it's a false belief that we create, because in reality, the most successful people never complain or talk about how busy they are, or I don't know how bad was her day. Remember that we only have 1,440 minutes in a day, and we all have the same amount of it. The question is how we're going to use it. Actually, in going deeper in this subject, more than a time management problem, I will say the answer is energy management. How are you directing your energy right now? Towards more productive things? Or do you lose energy in irrelevant activities during your day? Are you doing instead of talking about what you should be doing? Or just the opposite? You're just talking and not action at all. Are you doing things that do not move you or are irrelevant? Or things that you are not passionate about? These are very important questions that I invite you today to ask yourself. How are you expending your energy? Where is your focus? This is a very important question that we always have to ask ourselves when we're dealing with time. Because where your focus is, your energy is. Another important aspect to manage time effectively is to understand the difficulties that you experience with managing time. Is it lack of goals, interruptions, procrastination, distractions, poor health, social media, failure to delegate? What is it? Can you identify it? Just stop, analyze, make notes on those obstacles or challenges you currently have with managing time. This is very important to proceed in our analysis. It is very important to be more aware and more conscious. What are the obstacles you currently have when managing time? I want you to take notes of this right now, just to put it on the table and be more conscious. And for that, the first thing is to recognize that new results require a new way of thinking, right? We need to understand that time management is not the problem. And I have news for you. We don't have issues when managing time. The real issue you have with time is self-management. You cannot control time. You cannot forward time. And it is out of our control. What you can control is what you're going to do with the time you have available, where your focus is, how you invest your time, on which people you invest your time, who is worth investing your time is. These are things that you can manage, that you can handle, that you can control. You can only manage what you know. If you don't know what your relationship with time is, if you don't know what your challenges or obstacles are, it's going to be very difficult for you to manage them. As simple as that. So that's why I present these two exercises, so you are more in connection with the subject and take notes. So this is a very key part of the presentation. It is very important that you understand that you're responsible for managing yourself effectively, because time is limited. You're also responsible for the decisions you make with your time and how you invest it. And also, you're responsible for the consequences of those decisions you make, for the difficulties and the challenges you experience. At the end of the day, you're responsible for how your life is and how you manage it. And the most important thing here that I want you to understand and keep for you is that it's not about what happens in your life, but how you respond to those happenings. And once you understand that, you will be able to establish your priorities, right? That's what we think. But wait, establishing your priorities do not generate more time. And I want you to have a clear understanding of this. Establishing your priorities more like distributing your time based on what is important for you. It is like juggling, like this picture that I present to you, which obviously drains your energy because you're constantly juggling balls, right? So what do? What is the solution here? Well, let's recap, right? There are 3 ways of thinking about time in general. Doing more activities quickly and efficiently within the time available. This is what most people do. Another way of thinking is, let's establish priorities based on what is important or urgent. But there is a third one that, according to recent studies, and this is something that I learned from my mentor, Rory Vaden, seems to be the most effective, and it's the concept of multiplying time. And be aware that I'm only going to give you a glimpse of this theory, a few concepts. At the end, I'm going to provide you with some additional resources if you want to expand on the topic and keep the conversation going. So going back to multiplying. We multiply our time understanding how to invest the time we have available today to dedicate in those activities that will generate more time tomorrow. So we spend time today doing things that are going to save us time, that are going to give us more time in the future. And how is this done? In addition to the urgency and importance that we know, of which we have always spoken, the famous COVID time management matrix, the multipliers, or the people that use this theory, include an additional aspect when managing decisions in their time management, and it's the meaning. So when we talk about urgency, we mean how fast. When we talk about importance, we mean how much does it matter. But when we talk about meaning, that means how much time will it matter. It considers not only what matters now, but also what matters later. It takes into account a possible future. How much does activity mean or matter to me? So based on that, we could say that success does not depend on the amount of activities we complete, but how much they mean to us. And this is very important. The meaning. So, for you to multiply time, you need to first eliminate all activities or tasks you should not be doing. You must learn how to say no. This is very key. If you cannot eliminate the activity, you then try to automate it. If you cannot automate it, you then try to see if you can delegate it. And this is something that is really, really hard for some people to do. And let me stop here really quickly, because it is important to understand that if you don't delegate, you might be wasting time. You could be spending on more productive activities. And also by not delegating, you're limiting others. You don't let others to grow. You will be failing to empower others and help them to start doing things by themselves. So going back to this, like if you cannot automate it, if you cannot delete it, if you cannot delegate it, then you have no choice but do it. And here's when you ask yourself, can this thing that I have to do now wait to be completed later? And this is a very powerful question. If the answer is positive, yes, I can complete this task later, then postpone the activity for later. This is what we call procrastination with intention. And there are two different things that you need to start differentiating when we talk about procrastination. One thing is, I do not do something and leave it for later because I do not want to deal with it now. If you do that, you're unconsciously procrastinating, which is a bad habit. Another different thing is saying, let me wait and do it later because now is not the right time for me to do it. If you do that, then you're consciously postponing. And this is a good, very productive habit. I'm going to give you an example. For instance, save your time doing something very early in advance. Let's say you're preparing for a presentation or a training. Because if something changes, let's say that the training and presentation that you're preparing gets canceled or gets delayed, you will lose time doing this or working on this presentation or training early. You could have waited a little bit. This is what I call the cost of the unexpected. So when multipliers decide that they must do certain activity, they just do it. And when they do what they must do and focus all their energy on what they're doing and nothing else. This is why they're so successful. By now, you should be more conscious about how responsible you are about managing your time and the importance of self-managing yourself. Now, let me give you a few simple tips to help you to handle your time more efficiently. Just things that maybe are going to help you to control it better. Concentrate on results and not in activities. Being busy all day does not mean being efficient and productive. Good time management skills will allow you to work smarter and do more things in less time. Do not confuse activity with productivity. This is very key. Some people spend all day working. They get frustrated, but they don't get any results at the end. As Roddy Baden stated once, successful people in time management do not necessarily worry about doing things right or doing things. They care more about producing the results they want. So take note of this because this is very important. Do one thing and only one thing at a time. Some researchers have concluded that what is perceived as a multitasking is really an exchange of tasks. Instead of doing two things simultaneously, your brain is switching between tasks, but it does not do, or it does it at a rate so fast that you do not realize what is happening. And so when I talk about this, some people get really impressed, like, oh my God, I can't believe this, but it's true. It is important for you to understand that multitasking hurts your time management. You will work more efficiently and spend less time on tasks if you focus on one task at a time instead of dividing your attention into several tasks. The key to effective time management is to have the courage to stop the speed with which you work and to make sure that whatever you have to do or you're doing at a specific time, that's the only thing that you can do at that moment. You can only do one thing at a time. So don't try to multitask anymore because it doesn't work. More than quantity is quality, I will say. Have a clear vision, define your north, that why you're doing things, what moves you. The more you align with your north, with your vision, you're going to be more connected with that purpose. And obviously, you're going to make a better use of your time. You're going to be more organized, more structured. You're going towards a goal. You have a path to follow. Observe your habits and routines of work and in life in general. Set aside those habits, commitments, and even people who are not contributing in your life in a positive way. This is very key. Please, please, please learn how to say no. I know you have heard this before, but it is amazing how difficult it is for some people to say no. Many times we want to look good with other people, doing things we do not like or we cannot do, but still we do them. Self-management has a lot to do with consistency, meaning that what I think, what I say, what I feel, and what I do is the same. I'm coherent when I'm responding, when I'm doing things. Am I thinking and feeling and saying and doing in a consistent way? That's a question that I invite you to ask yourself today. Are you consistent when making decisions and handling your time? Stop wanting to look good with everybody and stop pleasing others at the cost of your time and your peace of mind. Say no. I know it's hard. Sometimes we want to please, especially people that we love. But sometimes it's good to say no, because the more you say no to others, the more you say yes to yourself and the things that obviously are important for you. Group similar activities to save more time. Do all of them at the same time. For instance, when you check your emails, check all your emails. When you hear your message, when you return phone calls, when you pay your bills, don't accumulate bills, just group them and pay all of them at the same time if possible. That's going to be very effective for you in the long run. Use technology to support you. For instance, applications such as this one that I present, Pocket, that allow you to save interesting articles, videos, and more interesting information from the web for later. You can check them later all together. In this way, you will not waste time checking any time an article is released. You check them all together when you allocate time to do it. This is an application that I use and makes me feel very efficient, because when I'm working, people send me articles, send me information. I see Facebook or Twitter, and I get lost because I start reading something that is very interesting for me, and then I just jump to, I don't know, looking for other completely different thing. So Pocket allows me to save all that information. This is just an example. There are tons of applications that you can use to be more efficient. But remember, do not abuse technology. Balance is the key here. Organize your day. This is very powerful. It might sound like it's repetitive, but take the first 30 minutes of the day, or if you prefer, the night before, to plan and organize your day. Do not start until you have a plan, because if you start your day and you don't have a plan, you're going to get stuck. Go beyond, and I will invite you this, not only to say, okay, I'm going to plan my daily objective. I'm also going to do weekly or monthly or even annually. That's going to help you to have a better picture, a better sense of how your day or your week or your month or your year is going to look like. Be open to changes along the way, but organize it. It helps a lot. Organize your spaces. Some of my clients get really shocked when I say this, but a disorganized space drains your energy and does not promote effectiveness. I know there's some people that say, yes, I have an organization in my disorganized space, but I truly believe that it drains your energy anyway. So first, start by designating a specific place for your activities and your things, a place that you feel comfortable, a place that you feel that things flow. And then eliminate everything that is unnecessary. And obviously, things that are visually disturbing you or taking your energy away. Schedule time for your most important activities Any activity or conversation that is important to your success should have some time assigned in your calendar. Block your time for important, high-value tasks and prevent other activities from taking up your list. For instance, plan your appointments and block time for thoughts, for conversations, for dinner with friends and family, for hanging out with people in your community, and any other important actions. Be effective with your meetings, checking your emails and social media. I know this sounds repetitive, but this is key, especially when you're at work. You can group meetings and calls into blocks. You can be effective with your meetings, let's say, scheduling them strategically. You can schedule meetings in other people's office, so you can depart from the meeting whenever you want, even earlier. In case, for instance, that others want to stay for chatting, like sometimes we have meetings and then some people would just want to chat about life, about what's going on in the company. If you plan your meetings in a different space, you might leave. You don't have to stay. Block time for checking your email. This is very key. You do not have to check your emails constantly. Select 2 or 3 specific time slots during the day and do it. And of course, be careful with too much social media. Go check the news or that post or publication that you really want to see and leave. Stop unnecessary browsing. This is very important. Do not be so perfectionist. Perfection does not exist. Your perfectionism would only lead you to always find something new to change. It does not mean that you're going to neglect quality, but your obsession with perfection is a trap that only leads you to dissatisfaction and procrastination. Remember that your perfectionism prevents you from enjoying your progress or the things that you're doing, and it leads you to find excuses for not doing things. Remember something, and this is something that one of my best mentors told me a long time ago. Sometimes done is better than perfect. So keep that in mind. Done is better than perfect. And remember that it's impossible to finish everything. There will always be more to do that you can really handle. There is always something extra you could do. There is something extra that you could be doing better. Things can always be improved, and there is always somewhere else that we can be. These are some very good books I recommend on the topic. You can find some of the concepts that we discussed today and much more. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to just look at them, take names and authors, because these are really good books that helps in my research, and I always recommend them to my clients and people in general. You can find some of the concepts that we discussed expanded in a more, better way, probably elaborated for your reference. So with that, we will take some time for questions. We end this presentation. Are there any questions from the audience?
Well, thank you very much, Dayana, for a very, very interesting presentation. And folks, we are open for the question and answer. So if you have any questions, you can either insert it in the question box, or you could equally raise your hand. There's a hand icon available on the webinar console. So please click on it if you would like to speak directly with the speaker. There's a first question from Brother Muhammad Faisaluddin. The question is, can you please elaborate on planning ahead?
Planning ahead, like when we organize our day, he means? Yeah, but pretty much what I always recommend to my clients is organize your day. Let's say, and I usually do this, I can share with you guys how I do it. On Sundays, I tend to see my week ahead. Like maybe even in my Sunday, I stop and I try to plan how my week is going to be. That gives me a sense of what are the challenges that I'm going to be experiencing, what are the main topic subjects that I'm going to be encountering during my week. Also, it gives me time to, let's say I have very important projects, I'm going to put them at the beginning of the day because this is where my energy is the highest and I'm more aware. So what I do is on Sunday evening, I look up those things and I organize my projects and the things that I have to do in a very like comprehensive way. I'm always open to reevaluate and change, but usually when I do this on Sundays in the evening, it helped me to get a great picture. And I know what I'm going to be, I'm going to be anticipating a lot of how my week is going to be. What I also do is monthly planning. I focus on my most important projects and I try to allocate a specific time for them. Because if we don't do that, we're going to be lost in space. We get a lot of emails, projects, demands from other people. And if we do not allocate specific time slots for our main projects, we're not going to make it. What I always tell my clients, and this is going to sound really, really strange, but I ask them, do not check your emails or social media in the morning, especially the 2 first hours, because when you start your morning, your day, responding other people's demands and having these hectic conversations or responding social media, it's not a good way to start your day, I will say. It's better if you use the 2 or 3 first hours in the morning to focus on your most heavy projects so you get out of the way and then you proceed with your day. That's what I plan. I don't know if that responds the question.
No, thank you very much. We have another one from Tradisi Halal Mart. The question is, how to manage interruptions with social media and related gadgets?
Well, that's that we go back to the self-management. I mean, we need to be very conscious. Sometimes, and it's okay. I mean, we live in a technological era. We need to be connected, especially these new generations need to be connected. I always tell my clients, baby boomers, they get really frustrated. Let the new generations to be connected, but it's a matter of self-management. I think if let's say that you, and again, if you have this important project, set aside for that project. And if you want to check social media, go check what you have to do. Put some time. Let's say, okay, I'm going to be in Facebook or Twitter for 15 minutes. Okay, even I have a client that he puts an alarm and he puts 15 minutes. And when the alarm sounds, he just leaves social media. So it's, again, this is a practice. You need to start being more conscious. And I invite you all to do a chart, right? Take notes of how long or how much time you spend in social media a day. And when you get those calculations, you will be shocked. I have clients that spend 3, 4, 5 hours a day in social media. I understand that in some situations, social media is part of your business, but be conscious. Allocate space for social media. Let's say you're very active in Facebook and LinkedIn. This is what I do. But I usually check it in the middle, let's say like around 11 a.m. Because at that point, I have a lot of responses or a lot of comments from my publications. I schedule some of my publications as well. I use, let's say, Hootsuite or other platforms to schedule my publications. So in that way, I don't get caught into the publication and then responding. But I try to do it in a specific time, usually like around 11 a.m. and then at the end of the day. So it gets me to get, what happened during the day. That's my advice. But it goes back to self-management. You need to be very conscious that if that time that you're spending in social media is productive, is helping you to achieve your objectives. And it's going to be hard at the beginning. It's like an addiction, I think.
Thank you very much. There's another one. In your slides on urgency, importance, and meaning, can you elaborate a bit more on meaning and how different it is from importance when it comes for both to matter to me?
Yeah, well, that's the way I see it. Meaning, as I explained, is 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 how much it matters to me. Things that are very important for me, that have that are related to what is important for me. As I mentioned, like if you are participating in a project and you're very excited, your tendency is to just jump into that and do it right now because you're very passionate. But then you need to understand if you're in front of two things, let's say that, and also something that is happening in your office, what matters to you the most between those two? And then you choose. And then you choose because that is going to give you a sense of, okay, I need to do this now because this is very important for me. This is aligned to my values. And it also makes me happy. It makes me happy. But that's what I give you the example of the presentation, because it's something that maybe you're passionate about, it's something that you're very involved, but you don't need to do it now because it doesn't matter right now. Maybe you're supposed to be doing something for your business that is going to give you more time tomorrow. Let's say you have issues in your production line and you need to integrate this software in your process because this is something that is really affecting you, your productivity, and your employees' activities. I understand that this presentation and this training that you were invited to give is very important for you, but what matters most to you at that moment? Obviously, the implementation of something that calm your employees, that help your production, that calm you, that makes you feel more efficient. So that's what I mean by meaning.
All right, thank you very much. We have a caller, regular caller, Dr. Muhammad Rashad Faridi. Could you please introduce yourself and ask a question?
Hi, Dayana. Thank you for your presentation. I'm assistant professor in the university in Saudi Arabia, and it's my experience. I was regularly on time, doing my work on time, and meeting my deadlines. But from a couple of years, I could feel that when the deadline, I'm just waiting for the last moment, and when I'm on the urge of finishing my deadline, then I don't know, maybe because of some stress and maybe of some anxiety, somehow my especially my research work is very productive. It's of a high standard. So I don't know what's the reason. And then now off late, it has become a habit on me. Like if I'm being asked to give a presentation in a conference, I wait for the last 2 days to meet my deadlines of doing that. And perhaps it has improved my standard of my work. Unlike when I used to do 4 or 5 years earlier, much in time, I could feel the standardization of my quality of my work was not to that. I don't know, like from your perspective, what's the comment on that?
Well, thank you for the question. That's very interesting. I work with corporations and professionals, and I always tell them, do what works for you, right? But I always go to the roots. Why, and I invite you to ask yourself this question, why are you, let's say, procrastinated to the end? Because obviously it seems like it's working for you, but why is it? Is because you don't like that task? Is because you're bored about that, or just because that what gives you energy? What are you doing with the rest of the time? Instead of getting answers, I will ask myself questions as to my intention, my purpose when doing that, what's behind. This is what I work with my clients the most, like mindfulness. What's behind? What's the reason? What's the intention? Who you are when you do those things? Do you feel comfortable doing that? Does that, if you do that, that creates more pain, anxiety, or on the contrary, it might, I mean, I don't know, but I will need more information. But is this some sort of like a way of procrastinating with intention that you use, and maybe you're not even conscious about it. Maybe you feel like you're leaving the task until the last time, but maybe you're procrastinating with intention because you already know how long is it going to take for you to do certain projects. You're very confident. I have clients that they know exactly how long these projects are going to take, so they're very comfortable of leaving this project until the end. They're not procrastinated or running. They just know that, okay, I have a presentation on Thursday. I know I'm very confident that I'm going to be handling this on Wednesday night because I know myself, I know my capabilities. So what I always suggest to my clients, professionals, and you that you ask me this question, is to ask questions. Ask yourself questions about your intentions, how you feel. If you feel that you're efficient and it's working for you, if it's not stressing you out, if not, it's not creating a problem, let's say an illness or some sort of condition. I just be more conscious and be aware that you're doing it. And if in any part of the process is stressing you, okay, what can I do about it? Why I do the things that I do?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, thank you. Maybe I just ask questions to myself. Maybe I get solution by myself. I think one more thing was that it seems that group dynamics also matters a lot. I have some of my co-researchers, and I have one old professor, quite experienced. He's well in time. In fact, he's very much beyond the schedule. He does his work in proactive way, whereas I have other junior co-researchers who have been like on the working the last time. So henceforth, maybe with the behavior patterns when I'm working with them, and I just keep myself moving for to and fro, and that's perhaps the reason being. But anyhow, thank you very much for your insights, and thank you, Ali, for giving the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, when you work let me say something really quick. Like when you work with a team, and that's a different dynamic, because it's not about you. It's not about only self-management. It's about others and how others self-manage themselves. So what I always suggest is have a conversation. Have a conversation. Like if you as a manager or as a team leader, you feel that the way that people is handling projects causes anxiety for the entire group, have a discussion. And I'm always in the opinion that conversations create possibilities for people. Sometimes we are guessing or thinking too much or trying to find answers, but in reality, it's simpler than that. So have a conversation, have an open conversation about the topic. Let's talk about, the way that we handle time in our projects, how you feel, and get more insights about your people. I think that open bridges.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad, for asking the question. Let me quickly take 2 more questions. We have from Brother Faisal, again, a supplementary question. Can you please provide few tips on saying no? No, just
this is a hard one. Just say no. I think you have to. What works for me, and I always advise my clients, is think about what is important for you. If you, let's say you have a very hectic day or a hectic week, and people that you really love and is close to you ask you for something, think about the consequences of doing what this people is asking you, and by doing so, what consequences are going to get that as a result in your life. So, and this is very interesting because some people say, well, Dayana, this is very selfish. I understand. But we are in times that time is a very valuable resource. So we need to think strategically. What I always suggest when you have to say no is to have a very authentic conversation. I'm a fan of conversations. I think conversations, as I stated, open possibilities, and we design our future. We're not leaving our future to others. We're not losing our power. By having conversations with others, we keep our power and we decide how the things are going to be done, or at least, put it in the space. So have an authentic conversation as to, I would love to help you. I would love to do this for you. However, my time is really restricted this week. How can we work it out? Can I just offer you some help in a different way? Or can I refer you to someone that might help you? Because sometimes we're concerned, we're scared to say no just because it's someone in our family or even our bosses. Like I always tell my clients, learn to say no to your bosses. Do not spoil your boss. Sometimes when you read complacent, when you start like saying yes, 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 that's very bad for your boss as well. And I feel that when you say no, you build personality. People respect you more. They say like, wow, he always helped me when he says or she says no. Wow, he must be really busy. But I know he eventually will help you when he has the time or she has the time. So I will have a very authentic conversation, as simple as that. I don't think this is a recipe. It's just to be very honest and always have in mind what is important for you.
Much. Another one from Shazal Sheikh. How to work smart rather than hard? A bit generic one, maybe a quick response from you.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I mean, this is a very, very interesting question. How to work smart? Well, I'm a fan of planning. I'm a fan of trying to plan as much as possible, doing the most important things at the beginning of the day. To me, that's very smart, because the faster you get rid of it, your mind is going to be more relaxed and you're going to have more time. Another thing that it works for me and for my clients a lot is to be present. If you're going to, let's say you allocate time for your project, just do that and turn off everything else. Take your phone, I don't know, if you're in your office, take the phone to the kitchen, or I don't know. Just disappear your phone. Be focused on that. Because the more present you are, the more you produce, and the more you're into what you're doing. So that, to me, those are the things that work. I don't think fast is always good. I mean, there's people who's fast and good, and I really appreciate that, but it's not always the best, in my opinion. I don't know if that responds to the question.
Thank you very much. And let me quickly move. We have two more questions. One from Ms. Shabana Begum. Hi, this is Shabana. What do you suggest a working mother to manage time? Any tips or priorities?
Can you repeat the question, Ali? Sorry,
Yeah, Shabana is asking if you could suggest for a working mother to manage time, any quick tips or priorities?
Well, again, what's important for you? I have some mothers that I work with, and what they usually do is they take a lot of, like, they take advantage of their lunch to do things, let's say shopping, or if they have some reading. And we always try to establish what is important for them. And this goes back to the say no to your boss. Sometimes we want to be successful, and we always say yes to our bosses. Have a conversation with your boss so he understands your situation. Also, I mean, there's some companies that are not very friendly with moms, and that's unfortunately something that we see a lot. I will go deeper into this, and I will ask myself, am I in a company that respects the fact that I have a family and I also have, other things to do? Do they understand my priorities? Do they understand what is important for me? Other than that, I will apply the same principles that I discussed during the presentation. But I always suggest the clients that I have that are moms, that check into where they're working, about this place that they're, the company, if it's a place that matches what is important to you. Because that's sometimes a problem. Like sometimes we're trying to be more effective, or, oh my God, I don't have time, but it's because you're in a company that puts you in a situation that you don't feel comfortable and you can't manage. Because if you're happy and you feel that, because again, it's hard to establish priorities because you're always going to be juggling, as I mentioned, but you need to have very clear what means the most to you. And that's where you put most of your energy and your attention. And some companies are very conscious about this. Even some companies allow you to work remotely. So that's a conversation that you might have also with your boss. Like if you can work some days remotely, that allows you more, flexibility, and you're going to be more happy. And when you're happy, you're more productive.
Hey, thank you very much. One last supplementary question from Tradisi Nolalmat. Question: any advice and tools for more effective freelancer and homepreneurs working from home, I guess?
That's a very good one, because we as entrepreneurs, we waste a lot of time. To me, what it really helped me, and it helps my entrepreneur clients, is what I mentioned about allocating big projects in the morning, because we feel that we have a lot of time and we don't, and that flexibility sometimes is our worst enemy. So what I experience is that, like, plan in advance how your week is going to look like, and allocate the most important projects when your energy is the highest, which is usually, from my experience, in the morning. I mean, some people is at night, but I mean, majority of people, do it in the morning. So allocate that in the morning. Turn off everything, like phone, everything. Find that time where you're most productive and do your most productive projects. And also, do not waste so much time in calls or video conferencing. When we're entrepreneurs, we tend to talk to everybody. If you don't know something, find a good mentor and do it. Do not waste your time finding solutions in the internet, talking to a mastermind. Just go to the best mentor you can find. Save your time, do what you have to do, and also delegate. Delegate, because we, as entrepreneurs, we want to do everything by ourselves, especially at the beginning when we don't have enough resources to cover. Delegate. Find people that can help you to continue your vision. Inspire people. Even when I started, I was working with somebody and I wasn't paying this person, but we exchanged services and it worked really well. So inspire others to follow your vision, and delegate all the operational administrative things that you're not supposed to be doing, because you're supposed to be focusing on selling, promoting, creating a vision, more strategic task than, the small thing. And don't be perfectionist. That's also something key for entrepreneurs, because at the beginning, we don't take action. We're very scared. We don't know, should I do this? Just do it. It doesn't matter if it's not good at the first time. You're going to be perfectionist, along the way. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. Just take action and keep going.
Well, that really brings us towards the end of the webinar. So I really want to thank you on behalf of the Madinah Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. So thank you very much, Ms. Dayana Cabeza, for a very, very interesting presentation, which indeed turned out to be quite interactive. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you indeed, and thank you all of those who participated in this webinar. We are recording it, so please stay tuned to webinar.mile.org to learn about our upcoming programs, webinars, and equally to access the recorded versions. With that note, I would like to end and conclude. So you all have a good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're calling from. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much.